Is Mercedes been a bust since being signed by AEW?
I give it an incomplete, and I'll tell you why. There are great moments that I see, and for moments is what I kind of go with. Here's, to use your football analogy, she's Aaron Rodgers. She came in hurt, which is unfair to her to debut while you're hurt. This big buildup where you can't do anything. When I say there's like the way she speaks that, and I loved a couple of weeks ago when Renee did it, and she was like, girl, please don't, like, do your job. She could be such a great heel, just like Aaron Rodgers can be such a great quarterback. I just think there's a lot of different things that are contributing to it. And listen, like what I just said about Shelton Benjamin had to deliver, and he did. There was the biggest build was for Mercedes and Britt Baker on the biggest stage. The match, for some reason, did not deliver. We all have bad showings, so it's unfair to judge. Don't know behind the scenes. I don't know anything. She still has star presentation. How you go about delivering that, like last night, that match, to Bully's point, he's 100% correct. And they're like, if you're asking, I enjoyed her and Willow, and I enjoyed that match a lot. Hence why I say there's great moments. I think she's an amazing performer. I think she has the ability to get such heat, but then there's just simple things as usage. I'm a big fan. You cannot go, and she's not going, like resting on her laurels where I was this here, but it's kind of a carryover from what she was. You cannot go for, like, would you say Aaron Rodgers was a bust for the Jets? You're hoping he's not. The first year, yeah, because he got hurt. Then the second year, there's hope. They're putting all the right players around him to try to elevate him and the team. I think she needs that. I think everybody needs that. Listen, Vince McMahon had Pat Patterson. When Pat Patterson passed away, or Vince wasn't taking his information anymore, WWE was on a real low point. You need different like ears and eyes in your head and product. I know still to this day at 53 years old, I can go to my people that I trust, my circle, and Bully is one of them, where I'd be like, hey man, what about this? And he would tell me the truth. Same with the Don Callis, though he'd insult me. Scott D'Amore. When I wrestle, I could go to the back and I would have a handful of people, and I'm talking 2 to 3, that they would give me the correct breakdown of my match. I know if I called Paul Heyman today and said, hey man, can I send you a match, or can I send you a promo? Can you? And he would rip it the fuck apart. Why? Because he's great at that. And you need people like that, and you can't just think for yourself. You have to think about the match. You can't think of yourself. You have to think about your opponent. You have to, like Bully said it, and in such a Bully way, if you don't make anybody, you ain't beat nobody. And that match last night, again, I'm not going by one match because I see such great moments where I was like, God, this girl could be the biggest heater. Now I'm looking at it differently in the sense of, cool, you were this way, and they're putting the right players next to her, Camille, but then it's the usage. Just like the Jets just got Devonta Adams. All of a sudden, let's see if he delivers. You need stuff like that.
You've been great, Tommy, this morning. And the point you're making right now is a great one, because everybody needs a team around them, not just for the support, but to be critical when the performance isn't where we know that it could be. On this show, you know, if I'm having a bad performance, Tommy, you'll tell me in the break, hey, Dave, is everything okay? Paul will be like, hey, man, that wasn't, you know, what you normally do. If my internet is bad, somebody will say, man, you can't go on the air today because your internet is so awful. Like, there's going to be people in place that tell you maybe not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. That's the sign of good creative. That's a sign of good management.
And it's
not to tell you what you want to hear. Yeah, no, it's not.
It's not an insult.
Good. Yes, good management is not going to tell you what you want to hear. Good management is going to tell you what you need to hear. And I think there's examples of this all across AEW. Listen, CM Punk left AEW and he was getting booed. Cody Rhodes left AEW, he was getting booed. Saraya, this is not the Saraya that we thought we were going to get again. And that's not a knock on Saraya. She had a promo that was completely misguided and she should never have done. And she has never been the same since that promo. They didn't bring Saraya in to be a heel. They brought Saraya in there to be one of your biggest babyface. Same thing with Mercedes. I don't think Mercedes was brought in to be a heel. I think she was brought in to be one of your biggest babyfaces. But you set off on the wrong foot right away, and your trajectory is off. And I think that's what's happening here.
Listen, we just inducted or told somebody that they were going into the Hall of Fame. What did that person say? It's not about me. It was about all the people that I was part of. And I was like, man, that is such a great statement, but that is also Rhino. And Rhino understands this industry. In WWE for the women, they had Fit. You think of like the Hall of Famers, like, and you go to the documentaries, Trish would be like, okay, Fit comes along. Now you're going to wrestle like the guys. Now you're going to steal the show. Or Fit would be like, that's brutal. That's fucking horrible. And you need that. You need that. And Dave, I have done it. I have hung on a word, and I've worked with some great writers. And when a wrestler has gone out and done something that was written for them specifically, and they don't say it, or they felt like we can see the tell. And if they're like not uncomfortable with like, oh, they want to do it in their way, and it doesn't deliver, it's like a comedian and a great comedic writer gives you a great joke and you fumble it because you changed one word. Dave, I had my whole Busted Open After Dark was about what's up with my baby faces and my heels in WWE. Right now, everything is great in WWE, but the littlest thing could happen and it could be a turn. I don't want to see that turn, but there's things where all of a sudden people could just go, huh? Wait, what? And then your most beloved, and then your business starts to drop. I have seen the decline. I have seen the rise. I've been a part of both. When you're old enough to outlive it, as well as still be in it, you see the ebbs and flows. You need different voices, but as much as you go over your match, as much as you go over, it's the same as you have to go over for a promo. It's the same as how you have to go over a run-in, all stuff like that. For the simple fact of everything matters. If this is a game of football, from the moment the kickoff, this is our strategy. If somebody goes down, gets hurt, okay, next man up. But you're going to your coach. If all this turns around with the Jets and they fire their coach, they're doing all this stuff, after Aaron Rodgers leaves, and then you get players say, this is all Aaron Rodgers' fault. He was the one who got rid of the coach. He was the one who does this. Then you say, oh, wait, Aaron Rodgers is the selfish one. But right now, we're putting a nice gloss over it because we want to win for a fan base that hasn't won in a long, long time. But if it goes, because at times I watch this and I'm like, God, Aaron Rodgers still has greatness in him. But then there's other times like, ooh, Aaron's looking a little old here. So that's also like they're protecting him because they know this greatness. Mercedes doesn't need to be protected. And AEW just has all the right players. They just need to be slotted in the right positions. And then it's all going to be a championship team that it once was. Because when they were, I saw this in ECW. When we were the alternative, WWE literally did everything that we started doing. We were no longer the alternative. And we had a genius who said, cool, we're all about violence. We're going to wrestling. Wait, what? And then when they started getting and taking all the great wrestlers, we're going to go this and bring in Lucha Libre. Then when they started bringing in all the luchadors, we're going to bring in the Joshi Japanese style. It's always the world's going left, I'm going to go right. That's when you're the alternative. If not, you're not the alternative. And every move you make has to be key. I could tell you one thing that I friggin' hated last night, and I like the guys. After the beatdown of the John Moxley's group, 3 guys get up, 2 of them cut a promo, and I get where we're trying to go, and it ended like they were on a set studio. I'm like, how the hell, if you're trying to get my heel group over, or yes, I understand people are trying to fight, why are they all like standing there? It was Top Flight. And I'm like, they're literally standing there like it's a pre, and the promo wasn't bad. Why couldn't you have one guy down selling, checking on his brother, who we also know they both had injuries? How come you couldn't have a guy behind him yelling and a guy in front talking over him? We have a show that we sometimes interrupt each other, because then I'm like, okay, number one, that just did nothing for the group that's kicking the shit out of everybody. But if you need to promote the match, and I understand why you do, Chaos, that did not, it started off as Chaos and then it ended as in be there. Where I'm like, wait, what? That's not Chaos. That's not somebody, dude. And then
I don't remember a time, Tommy, really quick. I don't remember a time where we saw a beatdown and then the guys who got beat down get up and are like cutting a promo, like you
just got your ass kicked. How are you looking like you're tough?
Like,
if you're down selling, Dave, old school wrestling, Bob Backlund gets his title destroyed by superstar Billy Graham. He's on his knees crying, and he's like, "I'm gonna get you." Like, he said insane gibberish, but I believed in that insane gibberish because I saw a man's world crumble. When your world is crumbled, Dave, I have been beaten up. I've been jumped by 3 dudes, and they put a gun to my head, and they fired, and the gun didn't go off. I should not be here today.
Wow. Whew.
And from that moment, I quit being a bouncer, but I also was just like, I remember that moment, and I just remember seeing my mom and my dad, and I was like, they're never going to see me again. And then also in my head, I was like, you know what? If I had a chance, I'd come back and kill those motherfuckers. And that's what a babyface promo has to be. Because when your life flashes, when you're getting beat up and you don't know what's going to happen to you, it's scary. But when you get a grace of God or you get a chance to go after a person, you're going to come after them, kick their ass. And that's how babyfaces are. And heels are the guys who went to pull the trigger on me. That's it.
Clear cut.
Get me mad, AEW, because I love you.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Listen. You can't blame, because he gets unfair criticism. I hate it. Tony Khan. I understand it, but you can't hyper judge this, because we just want it to be better. And listen, we could get me, you, Bubba, we get Mark Henry, everybody in the room, and everyone's going to have their different opinion. I say this all the time when I do seminars. Who's your favorite wrestler? Everybody has a different answer. What would you do if this person's your favorite answer? He'd be your champion, right? Wrestling is subjective, but not when you want to make stars. And you have all the right players, just position everybody, and everything needs to be key. Because, like we always say, oh, you dot the I's and you cross the T's. However, but like, I'm starting to see little holes in the dam of WWE, and I don't want to see that. And we'll get there. No, you don't. You dropped the ball with Braun Breaker, and now you're trying to get it back. And yes, you will get it back. But if you have these little moments that continue, people are going to be like, and then the business isn't booming, because we all want it to boom for every company.
And I think what you just said, Tommy, is 100% correct. It's because we love it that we want it to do well. I know there's people out there that just love to shit on it just for the sake of shitting on it. Obviously, the people that are involved in this show don't want that. We want it to succeed. We want it to thrive. And I want that for AEW. And I'm going to be completely honest, Tommy. At one point, AEW was my favorite wrestling show. I would be excited each and every Wednesday night to watch Dynamite. And it's watching Dynamite has been a struggle for me. I'll tell you, Tommy, I was excited about Dynamite last night. I loved the way the pay-per-view ended. I was like, I gotta watch Dynamite tonight. And some of those segments last night deflated my interest. That's the last thing you want to do, because if it starts to deflate your interest, Tommy, what are you going to do? You're not going to watch anymore, and you're going to start watching something else. And that's my concern, because I think they had a moment that like everybody wanted to watch that show, and obviously their numbers are down, but their numbers are down for a reason. Because people aren't invested in the show like they used to be. I wanted to get back to where it was 2 or 3 years ago, where there was a lot of buzz, there was a lot of excitement, and people are hanging on each and every Wednesday night.
Dave, Dusty Rhodes gets his leg broke. He's got to wear this boot. This boot is all the stuff. It becomes controversy, blah, 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 blah. Do you remember what the follow-up of it was? I'll tell you what it was. They went to the doctor, the bad guys, and then they had Dr. Aswani, I believe his name is. And if that is true, I am so need to seek psychiatric help that I remember this stuff. And they said, Dusty, no, doesn't need the boot anymore. And then the heel's like, Arn Anderson comes on and is like, so this thing that you've been kicking people in the head and cheating with, you can't do it anymore. Meanwhile, the heels are the ones who've been cheating the whole time. He got his revenge and took out Ole Anderson with said boot. And all the babyfaces had their moment. Ole's not going to be around anymore. But my heels are now, they went the other route, like you scumbags, and saying, oh, Dusty, you've been cheating. You're the guys who made him cheat. It's that simple. But this boot was one inanimate object. This boot was the story of a main event of a pay-per-view that drew a lot of money, and we had a beginning, an end, and a conclusion. Because Dusty couldn't wear the boot all the time. It honestly, it made sense about a stupid friggin' boot. Yep. Makes sense of everything, and you will remember all of it because we're crazed wrestling fans like myself.
And one of the problems I had with the end of the Vince McMahon era is that stories didn't matter, so you didn't get invested because they would go in a completely different direction than the week before, so it didn't matter what happened. And I feel that way.
I'm sorry. And guess what happened, Dave? Their business wasn't doing what it's doing now, so guess what? Vince was wrong.
Yep.
And I know that's a hard pill to swallow, but he was wrong in that decision.